Good morning. It's Wednesday, November the 25th, and this is The Drill. Thank you very much. The prayer of the day. Dear Lord, please guide the minds and hands of the lawyers and judges that are tasked with handling the voter fraud cases that are being prosecuted across the country so that they get things right. Amen. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. Who is the true conservative? First and foremost, he is realistic. Secondly, he is God-fearing. The true conservative is the man who follows his plan. He is appropriate. He is the person that has the courage of his convictions and is confident in what he knows. He is the person that subordinates politics to reality. He's not selfish, but minds his own business. He acts like an adult. He's patriotic and uses common sense. He is judgmental and moralizes. He refuses to speculate, speaks clearly and definitively, and is not afraid to say no. He's open-minded, asking why rather than why not. He is consistent, credible, and influential, not ashamed of his existence, unafraid to learn or correct his mistakes. He is a normal American, and he is better than the socialist. He's a better friend, father, brother, family member, and a better person, period. You have to know that being a true conservative is best, or you are wasting your time. Additional examples of what it means to be a true conservative can be heard by listening to John Cobelt and Ken Champeau on the John and Ken Show on KFI AM 640, Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. My podcast is short, approximately 5 to 20 minutes long, because shorter podcasts are easier to download and listen to. The biggest socio-political influences in my life are my parents, my teachers, Hugh Hewitt, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Dennis Prager, Buck Sexton, Joe Pags, The Enlightenment, Ayn Rand, and Dr. Mortimer Adler. My podcast is made available through Spreaker and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. I can be reached at thedrill12@gmail.com. Today, where do we stand? The 5 Commandments, quote of the day, how to win, conservative vocabulary, how to think about the president's lawsuits, conservative aphorisms, socialist aphorisms, and socialist vocabulary. All that when I come back. Thank you. The biggest problem with the news besides undeclared bias is the lack of continuity, and I decided that I would go ahead and do something about that. Hence, where do we stand? Here, where do we stand with the lawsuits, the fraud lawsuits? Rudy Giuliani and his team held a press conference the other day outlining their case and that there was widespread voting fraud in this election, so widespread that it may be international in scope. The presentation was impressive, professional, direct, and unequivocal. Donald J. Trump is still president of the United States. We Republicans have a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Republicans have gained at least 8 seats in the House of Representatives. The Senate is currently 50-48 in favor of the Republicans, with 2 races outstanding in Georgia, and those will be decided January 5th. By the way, the senators have the guts to ask us for more donations to help win these races, but they have yet to supply us with stimulus checks so that we can do so. So they're going to withhold money from us and then demand that we give them donations. A lot of guts there. So please call Senate Switchboard at the number that I will provide later in the broadcast and leave a message for your senator telling them that we will give donations when they give us a stimulus check. Republicans have 27 governorships to the Democrats' 23. Republicans control 55 of 99 state legislative chambers. Since the Democrats suck, this is good news. President Trump and his team are fighting massive voter fraud. 4 more states have lost their mind and legalized the recreational use of marijuana, and the state of California is about to go completely insane by creating a ballot measure to decriminalize magic mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine. And a little aside on this one, marijuana was sold to us as medicinal. Originally, they said, well, marijuana shouldn't be legal because it's really no different than alcohol. That's bullshit on its face. And then they came back and said, well, marijuana is actually medicine. It helps sick people. And that's bullshit as well. But we went ahead and bought into that. And I think a lot of people that went ahead and bought into that are people that just want to get high. And that they took advantage of the idea that even Republicans, even conservatives want to get stoned. And so they figure all we need to do is provide them with a good excuse, something that they can tell their friends. Oh, well, I've changed my mind to marijuana because you're a dope smoker. That's why. And it's selfish. These states shouldn't have done it because what they're doing is codifying selfishness. And so now, how they're going to sell magic mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine, I don't know. Are they going to come out and say that they're medicine? Are they going to say it's the same as alcohol? Good luck with that. But look for them to try to do something like that. But the biggest foundation that they've got is marijuana. I think what they may do is say mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine are, if not marijuana, or if marijuana, why not mushrooms, heroin, and cocaine? They're all drugs. And if we're going to legalize marijuana, we may as well legalize the others. So beware of that and be prepared to counter it. This is what the left does. It creates a foundation and builds on it. The monster that has been arraigned for shooting 2 Los Angeles sheriff's deputies should, if there is any real justice, get the death penalty. George Soros still is not dead yet, but I sure wish he was. No law enforcement union has yet been decertified, and no laws shielding officers from prosecution have yet been repealed, and that's dangerous. The most unpatriotic piece of legislation, the Patriot Act, is still the law of the land, mocking the Constitution and creating the blueprint for autocratic rule in this pandemic. New York Times v. Sullivan continues to encourage news people to be super citizens who can use unnamed sources to slander and defame people at will without fear of consequences, meaning that they can't be fired, they can't be sued, and they cannot be criminally prosecuted. It should be overturned immediately. Where's the expose on the Washington Press Corps? Where's nonprofit news? The communist flu continues. Blue Cross and Kaiser Permanente continue to take our premiums while they use lockdowns to avoid paying claims. Governor Newsom has enacted a racist scheme to keep California's lockdown indefinitely. When I come back, conservative vocabulary. Thank you very much. There's more to being a true conservative than how you vote. If you want to be a true conservative, you have to act, think, and talk like a true conservative. Hence, conservative vocabulary. Words like no. The left doesn't ever want to use the word no. They want to say yes to everything, like a bad parent. Go back. Acceptance. Mind your own business. From now on. Right, wrong, should. There used to be a time in which if you said the word should, I should have done this, I should have done that, then Mr. Lefty would come up to you and say, hey, you're shoulding on yourself. Wow, isn't that poetic? Good, bad, evil, reality, certainty, morality, beauty, and polity. Remember to use those words, use them appropriately, of course, but don't avoid them. The left wants you to avoid using those words, and they come up with countered words that are supposed to take their place. Don't let them do that. These are terms that the left doesn't want to use because they're realistic. How to win. Follow the conservative commandments. Number 1, thou shalt not be neutral. If you're conservative, you're conservative. And that's all there is to it. Number 2, thou shalt not be pragmatic. The ends don't justify the means. Might doesn't make right. Ever, anywhere, at any time. Number 3, thou shalt not be idealistic. Perfection doesn't exist. We strive to be better and better, but we don't strive to be perfect. Number 4, thou shalt not subscribe to the cult of expertise. That's what science is now. Science is now the new expert. instead of putting it on a person like Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is an expert, so you should suspend your own judgment and obey Dr. Fauci. So what they've done instead, because Dr. Fauci as an individual can be corrupted. So the right could get in there and corrupt his thinking, pressure him into saying or doing anything, but it's much more difficult to corrupt science. And especially since they don't define the word, they leave it open so that they can define it any which way they want to, then they're all set. They've created a lot of power. So, number 5, thou shalt mind thine own business. It's called privacy. Every one of us has reasonable and sometimes unreasonable, but reasonable expectations of privacy. And that's the basis on which property and property rights are based. And when you go sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, you're violating other people's privacy and violating their private or their property rights along with it. Don't do that. When some lefty asks where all the evidence of election fraud is, the best answer is evidence to satisfy whom? And he's not going to answer that question for obvious reasons. The quote of the day, quote, political correctness doesn't change us, it shuts us up, unquote. Glenn Beck. As conservatives, we make the presumption for the status quo and change only when there's an obvious or prima facie case for change. However, many of the changes that our civilization has seen are not necessary, but gratuitous. The following is a list of ideas, concepts, and abstractions that should not have been left by the wayside, and so they should be brought back. Bring back sanity. Right now in our society, we value insanity, believe it or not. Look at become aware of all the times, places, movies, and whatnot in which insanity is promoted. Bring back privacy. Again, don't stick your nose in other people's business, and don't put up with it when they stick their nose into yours. Property rights. There's no such thing as the environment. There's only property. There's private property, there's public property, and in the case of the oceans, most of them, international property. Bring back the pre-1970 filibuster, outlawry. If you're going to flaunt the law, you're going to thumb your nose at the law, there's no reason you should get the protection of the law. You got to make up your mind. Either if you want the protections of the law, then you've got to operate within it. Bring back single-income households. Integration, not diversity, integration. We're all Americans. Parenting, and along with it, corporal punishment. The primacy of existence, certainty of knowledge, and universal rights and wrongs. Bring back principled behavior, masculinity and femininity. Adam 12. Adam 12 is a police show for those of you that don't know, and one of the things I recommend when you're watching television shows, particularly police shows, is watch one of the modern ones that you happen to like, and then immediately afterward, go onto YouTube and look at an episode or two of cop shows from back in the 60s or even 50s. Highway Patrol, Adam 12, Dragnet, shows like that. And make an effort to notice the difference in how the world is portrayed, how police officers are portrayed, and I think it'll be fascinating for you. Bring back John F. Kennedy as a standard for what it means to be a true Democrat. The gold standard: pre-HMO medical care, nonprofit news, civil service. The term "stupid question," arguments and fights. The cultural influence of the church and the Boy Scouts. Bring back the Lions Club and the Rotary Club. Bring back bowling. Bring back linear thinking, and bring back smart. Be of good cheer. The universe is benevolent, and success is to be expected. Therefore, the left has no authority, no power, and they cannot win. Think about it. So, my how to think about is about conservative versus liberal. And one of the reasons that the conservatives make no gains in converting liberals or socialists And the reason that they don't is because their line of reasoning in the broadest terms goes like this. Conservatives say to liberals and anyone actually who's listening, other conservatives for that matter, they'll say, don't be a socialist, don't engage in socialism because socialism doesn't promote capitalism. That's the essence of their argument. And the response is, of course, people just sit and stare at you, and because it's a no-duh situation. Of course, socialism doesn't promote capitalism. It's not intended to. So if you're going to go ahead and promote capitalism, you're going to have to do it by pointing out, and it's the truth. This is what I'm about to tell you. It's the truth. Think about it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Do a little bit of research and think about it, that socialism is self-destructive, that socialism not only hasn't created any progress in the United States of America, but it has regressed. Whatever people that post-Marxism claims to help, it hasn't. It's hurt them instead. Feminism has hurt women. Identity politics has hurt blacks and Hispanics. Environmentalism has hurt the environment. PETA has hurt animals, and on it goes. So that's what you have to be able to do, is point out where it is that each one of these things has been a detriment to the United States of America, to our society, and to the world at large. And make socialists think about it, especially rank-and-file socialists. They think that socialism is a great thing and that there's all this progress has been made. Women get to have abortions. Women get to take the pill. And they don't stop and think about how that's not a good thing. That going out, you could die having an abortion. If something goes wrong, you could bleed to death. You can get an infection and end up dying. That the pill is the same thing. It's messing with a woman's chemistry. And also, by the way, that feminism says, we'll empower you. There's no power in feminism. None. Zero. The men have all the power. It backfired, and it will always backfire. Okay, the movements they're doing today to get rid of gender is basically to conceptually obliterate men. It will fail because it is contrary to reality. That's all there is to it, and that's why they always fail. Because at the end of the day, they thumb their nose at metaphysics, and they end up paying the price for it. So, be of good cheer. Understand that in the long run, they destroy themselves. That's why the Soviet Union disappeared. That's why Venezuela is disappearing. But the problem with socialism is that it destroys a lot of people and things along the way, and it can take a while for it to self-destruct. Soviet Union lasted 70 years. I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to wait 70 years to come out the other side. Conservative aphorisms. Why? Who asked you? Who cares? Who is we? Are you sure? How do you know? No, you don't understand. No, you aren't listening. No, you're not a leader or change agent. Who died and left you in charge? Who told you that? You don't know? When are you going to figure it out? And my personal favorite, get off of my lawn. Socialist aphorisms. Subvert the dominant paradigm. Question authority. Question everything. Coexist. Up next, socialist vocabulary. Thank you very much. Since nobody wears uniforms, how do you identify the socialists that surround you every day? By their vocabulary, how they talk. They're very careful. It's the best way to describe it, or most colorful way to describe it, is what I heard from a caller to a radio show, and he told the man that he was talking to, he says, "Don't give me any of that NPR pussy talk." So if it sounds like they're talking, it sounds like NPR, National Public Radio, pussy talk, they're talking socialist. And don't be afraid to tell people when they start using socialist slang to say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't speak socialist. I speak English. Socialist vocabulary includes such words as stakeholders, Latinx, empower, going forward, mansplaining, politically correct, supportive, hegemony, organic, grassroots, code word, dog whistle, buy-in, pushback, stuck on stupid, walk it back, and the masses. The ICE tip line is 866-347-2423. What can you do about, everybody expects the government to be doing something about illegal aliens. We go out and we hire illegal aliens to mow our lawns, to clean our toilets, to do all that kind of thing, all the time saying, well, it's up to the government to make sure it stops. No, it's up to you and me. You and I can shut this down faster than the federal government can. By turning it into a political issue, it just drags things out. And the way that you can do that is by dropping a dime. Every time you find out somebody's illegal, you call the ICE tip line. Hey, there's an illegal, he works over here, he lives over there, and you drop a dime on him. Or, if you don't have the guts to do that, at least talk about it. At least tell people, hey, you know what? Every time I see an illegal, I just drop a dime on them. And by the way, if somebody's going to tell you, well, you're just some kind of a racist, you tell them, no, I do it for their benefit. I do it for the benefit of Latinos. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me, because for the average, assuming that most of the people that are listening to this right now are white, the truth is, the absolute hardcore truth is that Latinos that come over the border illegally aren't going to bother me. Okay, they're not going to settle down in Beverly Hills. They're not going to settle down in Bel Air. They're not going to settle down where I live. They're going to move into East L.A. and places like that, maybe Boyle Heights, increasingly Orange County. And they're going to move in with other Latinos. They're broke when they come across the border. Where are they going to live? They're going to have to live in a small, crowded apartment with maybe 2 other families, maybe more. There might be 20 or 30 people living in a 500-square-foot apartment. Is that good for them? No, it isn't. And when they come over, of course, they're going to be looking for jobs. And what jobs are they going to take away? Are they going to take away white people's jobs? Are they going to come in and they're going to be writing for the Wall Street Journal? Are they going to be on CNN taking over for Don Lemon? No. And they're not even going to take over my job. I deliver food for a living, and in order to do that, you have to be fluent. You have to have near native fluency in English. And when they come over the border, they have no fluency in English. So they're always going to gravitate towards jobs where they're going to, where Spanish is, if not required, it's certainly an asset. So they're going to go to Hispanic restaurants. They're going to want to go to various construction jobs. They're not going to compete with me because they can't compete with me or you. Cannot compete with white people. It's just not going to happen. So again, when I drop a dime, it's not for my benefit. It's for the benefit of the country at large, and more specifically, for the benefit of Hispanic people. The White House switchboard is 202-456-1111 or 202-456-1414. The Senate House switchboard is 202-224-3121. That White House switchboard, if you're like me and you're getting tired of waiting, all I hear is crap from the left about where's the evidence, and all I hear from the right, every once in a while I hear from President Trump, we're close, or the press conference in which they said, well, we're getting it together. Almost. I don't want to hear that anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. File the damn papers. If you have proof, put up or shut up. Because I'm tired of getting slapped around, metaphorically speaking, by the left, and nobody in Donald Trump's camp is there to defend me or to provide me with some kind of a weapon to back these people off. And the only weapon they can provide is a lawsuit. File it, present the evidence that you have, and then I can go back to the left and say, stick it in your butt sideways, because here's the evidence. So don't be afraid to call the White House switchboard and leave a message to that effect. The Senate House switchboard, you can call them and ask them and say, hey, you guys are asking us for money for that Senate race in Georgia. Where am I supposed to get the money? When are you going to send us a stimulus check? Back in a minute. Thank you. Who's the socialist? He's the man that seeks consensus rather than develop his own opinions. He's subjective, petty, small, taking everything in life personally. He's outrageous, boring, and rude. He pretends to be a leader and a change agent. He's manipulative. He's sly, cunning, and deceptive. He dresses, acts, and speaks like a child. He's informal and terminally unique. He's childish and pretends that he knows nothing. He's pragmatic and ignores his conscience and pretends that might makes right and that the ends justify the means. He acts randomly and rationalizes his behavior, deterministic, blaming others for his mistakes, skeptical, demanding that others solve his problems. His unreasonableness and irresponsibility make him a bad role model and a bad father, brother, family member, friend, and a bad person, period. So that if you think that you should be friends with a socialist, think again. On the next episode, a big change in the way we communicate, talking about feelings instead of concepts and abstractions. Feelings as an expression of neutrality. And synonyms for the word neutrality, and a reminder that neutral is not a value. It's an anti-value. And that concludes another episode of The Drill. Be honest, be smart, be beautiful, and always ask yourself, what is real? How do I know? And what should I do about it? I'm Ron, and that's The Drill.